G'day Bomber fans, it's another loss. We now fall further down the ladder after choking a lead against the Saints at Windy Hill. Finals is looking like a tough ask now. We're 1 and 2 with a date in Adelaide next week to make things worse. I'll get to that later, but first it's a round 3 preview. Quarter by quarter recap. The first was a really scrappy one. The whole game was scrappy, I guess, but the first set the tone. There was a big breeze going our way which helped us win territory. We did well to defend entries that came, but really the term was played between the arcs, both teams feeling each other out. Lily Rose Williamson got us off the mark with a goal. We led 7-1. Funnily enough, that was actually the most we have conceded so far this year in first quarters. We get off to really fast starts, and yesterday was no exception. The second was more of the same. We got off to a fast start, held the ball in our half, kicked a great goal thanks to Brooke Walker, but then we let the Saints get a cheap one out the back to make the scoreline a far from safe one. We really should have led by more. They just managed our attacks well, and we wasted some opportunities to go forward cleanly. Although it should be noted the Saints did that a bit as well. We were the better team in the first half, 5 points better on the scoreboard. The third was really frustrating. We had a lot of the play, as we often do, but just couldn't convert. Meanwhile, a really lucky 50-metre penalty gave the Saints a gimme to give them the lead. We went into the last quarter trailing by a point, despite having a good 10 inside 50s more than the Saints and a good 10 free kicks less, but that's a different story. The final term, the Saints just got off to the better start. They put a score on the board for us to chase. They made the margin a tough one to come back from, and we couldn't come back. We had a chance with a late set shot to make it a one-goal game with 3 minutes left, I think, but we squandered it, and the Saints, the more professional team, got the job done, winning by 8 points. So where did we lose this game of footy? Well, I think this game proved just how tough life without Too Good is really going to be this year. We had more of the ball, more territory, more opportunities to create chances, but we just didn't really have a proper marking target. We kicked the first 2 goals, but after that we barely had a look in despite having the ball in our 50 so much. One of our 2 goals was, let's be real, a bit of a fluke from Brooke Walker. It was a tough game where opportunities really counted and we just couldn't make the most of our territory dominance. 31 inside 50s to 21. It's a bit like the men's. We have the ball locked in our forward half but can't do anything with it. Easy to defend against, and I think as much as that can be put to our best forward being injured, you have to look at people like Sophie Alexander, Paige Scott, Daria Bannister. We needed more out of them. Even Amber Clark, she's a lot younger, but it was still a down day from her. I don't think any of our forwards will be in the votes for anyone, really. I think this is a game where you can pin it down to a direct zone, letting the rest down. Not trying to pin the blame on certain players. As a collective, though, forward of the ball, we just weren't good enough to make the scoreboard a threat. Even when we were 2 goals up, it took them no time to reduce the lead. They found it a lot easier to score than we did. I talked about opportunities being golden. It really helps when a team when you score twice from 50-metre penalties. Just unnecessary lapses in concentration in D50 really hurt us throughout the day, bringing them straight to the goal line to kick an easy goal. I thought we were so solid for most of the game in defence, but every goal of theirs came down to a lapse, whether it was a needless 50-metre penalty or space being afforded out the back. Whatever it was, we would fall asleep and it cost us, even just around the ground as well. 29 free kicks to 18. That isn't because of it's not all because of poor umpiring. There was some poor umpiring in there, but we were just a bit silly and I guess lacking leadership at times. Something we've said a lot in the last year or two for both the men and the women. We lacked leadership, and it really is personified by Maddie Gay and that late bump. She's going to be suspended for that. Just needless. It really didn't need to be happen. She didn't need to be doing that at that stage of the game. And when we did get a free kick and a shot at goal late, just seconds later, we fluffed it. In the end, we were just not mature enough. We gave away cheap goals, which in such a low-scoring game was crucial to St. Kilda winning. Our maturity is a bit of an issue. We've been getting off to really fast starts. We're yet to concede a goal in the first quarter. We've led in every game we've played so far, but we just fall asleep and I guess become complacent. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's spending too much energy too early in a game. Maybe it's seeing a lead and thinking the rest of the game will just play out that way. Leads are really crucial in the AFLW. It's a low-scoring competition. We know that. There were 5 goals in this game. So the fact the first 2 were scored by us and then the next 3 by them, that's the game right there. Momentum, making the most of it, and putting your foot on the throat when you have a lead in any sport. We saw that with Brisbane GWS in that semi-final. The 44-point lead meant nothing because the Giants became complacent with it. We did the same against the Saints. We let them cruise in the end. Just not good enough, to be honest. And I think really in the end, we got to give the Saints a bit of credit, to be honest. Really, they were just a better team when it mattered most. You can lead for most of the game like we did, but it really doesn't matter unless you make it count. The Saints, when they were better, they made it count. And that's the tale of the tape. They withheld our attacks. They made their own significant. It should also be noted, despite the inside 50 count being lopsided, the Saints did waste more chances than us, I reckon. They fluffed a few easy shots themselves. So arguably, you could say they could have won by more. They also adapted to unfamiliar conditions really well. They were playing a kick-heavy style of play in the wind, which suited us, but Dal Santo and his coaching crew would have realised that flaw and begun to implement more hand transition into the game, which is when they started to score more. Moving the ball by hand on Windy Hill is important because of how weirdly shaped the oval is and how windy it gets. So the Saints were the better team. We were unfortunately pretty poor. We have a very tough game against the Crows next week. I'll get to that in a second, but first the votes from this game. One vote to Georgia Clark, who kept one of the league's best goal scorers in her pocket. Jessie Wardlaw is an absolute gun, and Clark made her a non-issue on the day. 2 votes to Georgia Nanscorn, who was the pick of the midfielders. She's been great all year and added another 21 disposals to her tally. I had Maddie Gay getting 4 votes. I took it down by 1 just because of that bump and the 50-metre penalty. She was great all day, but she let the team down a bit with her frustration. Sophie van der Heuvel is the beneficiary of that. I guess she now gets 4 votes, so her intercepting was fantastic and her ball use was smart as well. But 5 votes to Steph Wales. She dominated in the ruck against a debutant who looked alright, to be fair, but Wales herself was just a force all day. 35 hit-outs, 17 touches and a bunch of contested marks. She was brilliant. Quick look at the vote tally. It is tight up the top. Georgia Nanscorn has the lead so far with 9, but Maddie Prespakis and Maddie Gay both have 8 each, 1 behind her, and young Steph Wales has 7 as well, after a podium finish in the BNF last year. Van der Heuvel and Bannister both have a few votes as well, and after that there's a logjam of girls who are a fair way away from the top spot. Alright, round 4, we travel to Adelaide to face the informed Crows. Unfortunately, Adelaide are right now looking like a real flag favourite. They just beat the unbeaten Hawks. Before that, they absolutely smashed Fremantle, a team that smashed us. They travelled to Perth and kept the Dockers to just 6 points for the match. So Adelaide will be heavy favourites going into this game, and it's made worse by the fact we probably will be without Maddie Gay. I'd be surprised if she's not suspended for multiple weeks. Big bump to the head, very unprofessional and unlike her. So we are going to have our work cut out for us. The Crows will be hungry for a big percentage boost, and we could be the victims of it. I'm expecting a loss, but I'd love to be surprised. Alright, well that is that. Disappointing game, disappointing day, but still plenty of time left this year for us to do something with the season. We'll need to start acting quickly, but I guess from now on, it's on us to get better. Cheers for watching, guys. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and as always, go Bombers.